Hi there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kellie and Jon. Today we have a very special guest, Alek Lesniak. He is 13 years old, an author, and tons of school academic things going on. Junior National Honor Society. Did I read that you're in Junior National Honor Society?
National Junior Honor Society.
National Junior Honor Society and honor roll. Did I read something about that?
I'm in the honor roll as well. You are
Wow.
correct.
Wow. So you're quite a busy guy then.
Yep, definitely.
Would you say you're very ambitious or you just like to keep busy?
I'd say I'm ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with everything that you do. Do you do any sports at school?
I play for the bowling team.
Oh, that's a sport. Yeah, that's what's your favorite sport to watch?
Probably baseball, but football is a close second.
Yeah.
I
Good.
watch a little bit of hockey and basketball.
Yeah. So pretty much
Hmm.
everything. All the American uh pastimes,
Yeah.
great American pastimes. And you do community service?
Yes, I do.
What do you do for that? What's that?
Basically, we help out for the community, and in exchange, we get hours that'll help us with getting to the National Junior Honor Society, and we have to keep it up. It's not like once you get into the NJHS, you're done. No, you have to keep up with it, which I'm glad we do that. So then that gets more people, and I probably would have done community service anyway without that, but that's just an extra bonus. So yeah, it's basically helping for your community, and I'm really glad to do that.
Aw, that's very nice. Giving back to the community. It says you're on student council, selected for student council. So your classmates vote for that?
Um, no, the teacher in charge selected some kids, and I was thankfully one of them. And we are gonna have like presidential elections soon. We don't know what's going on with that yet, but yeah,
Do you
I
have
can
to
tech
what
I can technically run since I am in the eighth grade.
okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have to be what grade do you have to be in to be the president? Um,
Only eighth.
so you can be in the eighth. And then newspaper club.
Yeah, I'm also in newspaper club. I usually write about like things going on in the town or nearby towns.
So you're a journalist. You're
Pretty
writing
much,
a
yeah.
reporter, writing stories. That's awesome. And you bowl for the middle school team and you play recreational baseball?
Hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, you're a busy guy. So how did you even come up with the idea to write a book?
So one day, I so basically I since I was little, before I could talk, I was able to talk at 4 years old. That's pretty late, I know, but yeah, I was able to read and draw before then. I could understand the words, I just couldn't like say them back out loud. And yeah, I fell in love with both things. And you know, I always wanted to write a book since I was little. And then I was taking cartooning classes, and then one day I came back, and my mom challenged me to create my own characters after she saw me drawing some other characters. I forget who they were, but I was doing that. And I took the challenge to the next mile, and I wrote my own book.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's called Muffin Man?
The
Well,
event, the first
that's
one.
where I came in, just so you know.
Okay, how did you come in? How did this happen?
After he wrote his first book, and that's when I met this young man, and completely realized that. There you go. I was just gonna say that. I hope you hold
Oh
that.
my gosh, he's got a cape. How
And
cute.
he did all of the illustrations, but here's what happened. About I don't know, more than a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was asked by the C. Warren Library here in New Jersey to come and do a reading. and it was this great historic little old church that eventually the church didn't they sold out, and or they just gave the property to the community, and the town made it the public library. And it's just a great little building. Well, anyway, I went. I did a reading there, and one of the people who was responsible for getting me in there made it a point to introduce me to Alec, and of course his mom and dad, but definitely to Alec, and said, this kid wrote this book and he illustrated it, and he was very nice. He gave me a copy of it, and I read it, because I get so many books, but I was grateful because it was thin and I didn't have to sit through a thick book, and I said to myself, this kid actually knows how to tell a story, and he has the creativity to create visual characters to go with the story.
Wow.
And I thought it was fantastic. Well, okay. So then he writes his second book, or he's writing his second book. And what really did it, there you go, Muffin Man.
Oh,
What's the subtitle on that?
Attack of the Baker's Dozen.
Attack of the Baker
how
That's
Dozen.
them right there.
oh,
So
fun.
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe a year and a half or so ago, I get asked to do a book fair event up in Union City, the city where I grew up, and I suggested to the people running it. I said, don't think I'm crazy, but I guess at the time you were 12 years old when we did that book thing up in Union City, and I suggested they contact Alec
Yeah.
and have him there. It was great. Okay, so
Yeah.
he did it. He did it, and he was at the fair with me. As a matter of fact, they had the table next to me, but they expected all of us. I didn't expect to, but they expected all of us to get up at the podium and talk to the audience about what our stories are about, or why we chose to write anything like that. And
Yeah, I remember that.
right, well, I'll tell you why I remember that. So I at this point had been doing these readings for 10 years, did a couple of hundred of them, almost 300, maybe more at by that time, and I had no problem getting up and speaking in front of a group of people, and I always felt that I was good at it.
You are.
I was good at talking to a group of people. And then they had Alec get up, who had never done anything like this before. He held the audience attention. He was the most insightful person I had heard speak that day. And even what he had to say put me to shame. He was
Wow.
outstanding. This kid, I knew at that moment, and I'm sorry for calling you a kid, but that's what I do. But
No, it's fine.
this kid, this young man, will be somebody someday. In the literary world, he will be somebody. His stories are great, and the older he gets, the more insightful, the more adult his stories will be. It's just wonderful to listen to him speak, and that's why I thought we should have him on today, because what we haven't revealed yet, and maybe we won't go into at all, but I want the audience to know, is that at a very young age, Alec was diagnosed with autism, and he's on the spectrum, and he has brought himself around to be such, well, I'll let him speak. We'll just talk to him today, and you could see what a wonderful young man this kid is, and what a great person he's going to grow up to be. So let's start with really a simple question in your biography, and we'll just go over this, and then we'll get to your books. But in your biography, you tell us that you have autism. I knew this, but tell me what that means to you, what it is to you.
So, what autism means to me, most people think of it as a disability, but to me, I see it as an advantage and another ability for me. I feel like it's helped me in life, but this might not be the case for other people with autism. Autism can be very different depending on the person.
Yeah.
Some people with autism might not be able to speak, communicate, make friends, eat certain foods, etc. And I used to be like that. But there are many, no matter what, there's always something good about autism when you have it. So I might have an ability that someone has as a disability and vice versa. And I feel like autism has kind of made me who I am.
Oh, without a doubt, absolutely.
Well, we all have advantages and disadvantages in our lives, whether you have autism or not. I mean, some people like I'm really short. I'm never going to play basketball. That's just the way it is. Somebody really tall can. So we all have, our gifts, our disadvantages and advantages. But I've heard some people with autism have higher intelligence. Um,
Yes, that is correct. It's kind of like there's certain levels of autism. Like there's really low functioning, medium functioning, high functioning, which is what I have, and that's Alzheimer's. So, yeah, like for example, I believe Elon Musk is autistic and he's very high functioning.
yep. Yep. Yeah, I've heard that about him too. I've had a couple students when I taught at the colleges in Los Angeles that were autistic. And they came and took classes. And one guy was very artistic. Do you think that maybe your autism contributes to you being artistic?
It definitely can, yes.
Yeah. And creative because
Hmm.
it all, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, you tell me, your mind is bigger. Like you see more than what the normal person sees of the world. Like you can just see bigger is the only word, the way I can describe it. But that's what I've been told, for highly functioning autistic. Like, we'll look at Elon Musk and all of his ideas. He just has bigger ideas than other people. He sees things bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, so autism definitely contributes to a lot, if not all of the positive things I have. But that might not be the case for some other people, and it's very unfortunate, but that's
Yeah.
true though.
Right, right. Well, let's talk about this. Like, so what inspired you? Well, we talked about that. What inspired you to write a book? But then muffins? Why muffins over some other food? What are
So
muffins special to you?
actually, yes. So as I said earlier, some autistic people have a food disorder where they don't really like and they don't have a good reaction to some food textures. I was like that a lot, and I still am to an extent. My diet's getting better, but it's not perfect or anything. But so yeah, I couldn't really eat much for breakfast, and muffins were one of the only foods I could have for breakfast, and one of the only foods I could have in general. So I felt that muffins had a special place for me,
Oh,
so that's why my creation is a muffin.
There you
I
go.
love it.
Well,
I
how
love it.
old were you when you came up with that thought?
I was around 8 years old when I first thought of the idea of the Adventures of Muffin Man.
Wow. That's amazing. And so the first story, what's he doing? Can you give us like a little bit of a teaser what Muffin Man is about? The first one?
So the Adventures of Muffin Man is about a guy named John who loves muffins. A little too much, though. Then one day he goes to the cafe like it's any other day, But then an evil villain named Robochip, which I'll show you right now.
Yeah, show us some pictures. Show us some of the pages.
Yeah, this is Robochip right here.
Oh my gosh.
And then John gets mixed into a muffin, as you can see right here. So then he becomes a crime-fighting superhero because of it. And
Oh, he turns into Muffin Man.
because he thinks it could be a superpower to him and tries to go defeat Robochip.
Love it. Love it. Wow. Does it have a deeper meaning? So muffins might be your superpower, giving you extra powers if you eat muffins. Is that the meaning?
Like what? Like when Popeye would eat spinach or something,
Yeah, it
and
makes you
Yeah,
but you see, so when I saw all this, I was like, wow, this is just this, and he did it all himself.
I know. That's
You
amazing.
know, and
Most kids his age wouldn't even know you can write a book.
there you
You know,
go.
like they
Well,
wouldn't even be thinking about that.
again, and that could be one of the things that I related to him.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this, if I ever spoke about this at the library or anything, but when I was 10 years old, my for the summer, actually I was not yet, I was 9 years old. It was at the beginning of the summer. My dad brought me and my mom and him. We went to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where there was the big Battle of Gettysburg. And it was the 100-year anniversary of the battle when we went there. So it was very special. Even then, they made it very special. And as a kid, I was always somewhat interested in the Civil War and stuff. That's what we were taught in America, and I always liked American history anyway. So my dad brought me there, and come back to school in September. And as always, what was that first thing your first homework assignment in school in fifth grade for me? The teacher would say, write about what you did over your summer vacation.
yeah.
So most kids would write about, I went down the Jersey Shore or went down to Florida or went to Lake George or did what, they wrote about whatever they did during their summer vacation with their parents for their 1 or 2 weeks that their dad or may have had off or something. So on the other hand, what I did was instead of writing, we went to Gettysburg. Don't ask me why I did it, but again, by this time now I'm 10 years old in September, and I wrote about a 10-year-old kid who lived with his family on a farm in Gettysburg and in 1863 and got to see the Battle of Gettysburg happening in the fields and how, on the day before the battle, the Union troops came through his farm and used the water and the well and animals for food and this and that and the other thing, and then they left and went to get set up for the battle, and 2 days later a Confederate troop came through and used the family's farm for the exact same thing, and the kid was up on the hills watching the battles that took place in Gettysburg over the 3 days that took place. So I wrote this story, all obviously handwritten. We didn't really use typewriters, and we didn't even know about computers back then. So I handed it in to the teacher, and it was maybe 6 or 7 handwritten pages, and I handed it in. So the teacher was impressed and gave it to the principal of the school. And the principal was impressed, and he had one of his secretaries type it up. And then long before copy machines, Xerox machines, they had a thing called mimeograph machines, and they had the secretaries run off like 400 or 500 copies of this and staple it, with my name on the front of it. And it was distributed, my little 8-page book was distributed to the fourth and fifth grade students of the county of here in New Jersey in Hudson County. And it sort of made me a little bit of a celebrity, especially in my specific school. And so it really made me feel great. There was this book of mine, and so that has to be the same for you, Alec,
Do your
Yeah.
do your classmates know about it? Do they know about your
Yeah.
book?
oh yeah.
Most of them do, and yeah, I'd say I'm pretty popular around the town.
Awesome.
Yeah, when I first made this in fifth grade, fifth when this was first published in fifth grade,
Wow.
I was super popular. I was everywhere around the paper, and I we had a little party for me in elementary school.
Aw.
Then it kind of not the party didn't really happen again, but when the second book came out, the same thing kind of happened, and I read to most of the elementary schools in Colonia. I read to 3 elementary schools.
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
that's great. That's great. We have a lot in common. So
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
when you get
definitely.
older, you're going to be writing a lot more. I know
Yeah,
you.
you're gonna have more books like John has.
I'm
Six,
gonna
seven
have
books now?
Six. I'm on my seventh. Yeah,
Seventh you're working
yeah.
on. Yeah.
I'm gonna have more life experience, so definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely you
The
will.
books will get longer. The more experience you have, the more words you'll have to use to explain everything. Um, yeah, that's going to be, we want to stay in touch so we can see what you've got going on, see what
So
you're doing.
how long did it take you to write the first book before you said, yeah, this is the finished version. This is the one that I'll put out?
So my very first draft wasn't, believe it or not, I took like right after my mom challenged me. I took 2.5 hours. It wasn't really that good. My first ever draft was 2.5 hours, but it was
Wow.
not that.
That's okay. None of our first drafts are that good.
Yeah.
That's why we do
You just got to
rewrite.
get the idea on paper.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
what?
like
What happened after that?
so. Then I decided to keep on editing and making it better and better and better. And COVID hit, obviously. So let's try not to talk about that. But so I kept on asking my parents to publish it, and finally in 2022, my dream came true.
There you go. And now, wait a minute. When you wrote it, after you wrote it, the text of it, in your head, did you know the drawings that you would put with this section and this section? Did the drawings obviously come after the book was or the manuscript was written?
Yeah, I had the drawings in mind for a while. So yeah, so the total writing time you could say was around 2 years for the first book, and about the same for the second book.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
because it's a process. You have to write and rewrite, and then because you did your own illustrations, that adds some
Yep.
time too. Well, Alec, what is your favorite subject in school? Like, besides your writing, or is that what think you want to do is just write, or do you have a favorite subject, something that you're really good at?
My favorite subject is history, actually.
Oh,
Look at this. Me and this kid have a lot in common.
Yeah, I was about to say when you were talking about Gettysburg and how you were so interested in it. I was about to say, and I'm more of into like World War II and the Cold War.
wow.
Well, that's because we're a different generation, Alec, and you know.
Yeah.
So I was a little closer to the Civil War. So yeah, I can understand why you're into the Cold War and stuff. That's very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like gym, but I mean that's almost everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
But other than gym, my favorite would definitely have to be history, as especially American history. I find very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big of you, both of
Yeah.
you, because I didn't like history. I like it now, but I didn't like it in school. I didn't find it interesting.
Yeah, elementary school history, I found it boring because, well, I know in elementary school, were you guys learning about Gettysburg, John?
Oh yeah.
We learned about like tribes and like very old cities. We didn't learn about like any battles or wars or anything. It wasn't until sixth grade when I really started to like history and it started to, get interesting. And then seventh grade, it wasn't really history, it was more of civics, which I also found interesting. Like sixth grade, we really learned a little bit about the Civil War, the American Revolution, we learned a lot of.
Yeah.
We also learned War of 1812.
Hmm.
So yeah, we learned about all of those wars, and now in eighth grade, I'm in honors history, so I'm learning about ancient history, like ancient Israel, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's the kind of history I like. It's amazing. Like who built the pyramids? I'm so fascinated by that and all the ancient architecture that they have
Yeah,
in Rome and everything. Yeah, I find that really
I feel
interesting.
like ancient architecture is kind of what makes a huge part of those countries, like Greece, Egypt, Italy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It just it's so fascinating, what it would have been like to live at that time.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah. Because they were pretty advanced. I mean, I know we're even more advanced now, but they were doing pretty well back then. um, with their architecture and building and the pottery they made and all that. They were
Really
pretty.
think I would kind of want to live in that time because number one, I feel like you know because I've experienced modern day, and
Yeah.
while don't get me wrong, it isn't perfect, but it's pretty solid. But yeah, I don't really know if I like. Don't get me wrong, the architecture is beautiful and everything, and
Yeah.
it's very fascinating. But I don't know if I'd want to live in that time
No,
exactly
I agree with you.
because it was
Yeah.
way more cruel back then. The
Yeah.
world is
It
still
was more
kind of cool right
barbaric.
now, but it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
No,
way back then.
I need to have air conditioning and a
Yeah.
bathroom and
And I don't like dirt floors. That's what I always think of in the pioneer days here, even here in America, when they had the women wore the long skirts and they had the dirt floors. Oh, I wouldn't want to live in those times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm good now too.
So yeah, the main reason is because it was a lot cooler back then. It was even cooler back in like the 40s with Germany and Italy
Yeah.
and Japan and like Romania and Hungary, and even in like the 80s with, well, I mean, it wasn't that much different from it than when it was now. It was still worse back then with like the Soviet Union and almost half of Europe being communist, but it's definitely gotten better between ancient times and now.
right.
Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong,
Yeah.
there's some places in the world like North Korea and Iran where it's living there, it's very cool, but like it's still better than it was back then. So
Yep. More than most adults
yeah,
about
thanks.
foreign affairs, about the world. And that's important so that we don't repeat it because we could easily slide backwards
That's
into
why
those
we
barbaric times.
learn history.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, we'd like to think so, that we learn from history. We learn from our mistakes, if there, and there have been many. But personally, I just I like talking to you about the writing. Were there times when, and I doubt that this has ever happened to you yet. I'm sure you've never suffered from writer's block, like what happens next in the story. On your stories, before you sit down to write, do you have a premise of how it's going to begin and end, and then come up with a middle?
Yeah, I usually, that's actually exactly what I do. The beginning, I always start off first. Then I kind of briefly understand what I want the ending to be. Then I put in like a good plot in the middle. So then,
That's exactly how I do it. Yeah, that's really funny, Alex.
it
Alec,
hooks
that's
like the readers
exactly how
in.
I do it. I come up with a premise for a story, a beginning, which often even the beginning could change from time to time. It's like I said, even with my book, The Boss, what I started writing as chapter one is now chapter five, because I kept adding more and more and more, and had an ending. I knew where the ending was going to go. My job as a writer and your job as a writer is to fill that middle with as much interesting information as possible to make the story exciting.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So,
So, I mean, for the two books I've had, the beginning has always stayed the same. You've obviously written more books and longer books, so you can say differently, but I mean, the middle can kind of change. The middle changes a lot for me, actually. We could be like, oh, we'll do this, and we'll do this, and, so the beginning and the ends always really stay the same. Like, not, like Muffin Man 1's beginning is not a duplicate of Muffin Man 2's beginning, and same with the ending, but, like, how I wanted the beginning to be always would most likely end up how the beginning is in the final version, just worded differently or something like that. And same with the ending. The middle changes a lot though, but your first draft is never perfect.
No.
neither's your second or third, trust me.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
But okay, so you have Muffin Man 1, Muffin Man 2. Is there going to be a Muffin Man 3, or are you going to start writing other characters or other stories?
Well, as you said in the beginning of the interview, I am very busy. I have, all the clubs, and I play sports. So, yeah, I want to do merchandising though, and like toys, like Legos, Funko Pops, stuffed animals.
Fun.
I've even made like a mini Funko Pop during like something I had to do with crafting and cartooning classes. So, yeah, merchandise I'd really love to do. Writing, as of right now, I don't know what I'm going to do. There might be a third book. I'm not so sure exactly. But yeah, because I'm very busy as an 8th grader. I'm in 3 honors classes: math, science, history. And so yeah, I get busy on most nights, so I can't really write that much. And I mean, I guess I technically write for language arts class and the newspaper in our school. So yeah, I really don't have time, but I would love to do merchandise like toys and all that. And who knows, maybe in the future I can write a third book, but as of right now there are no plans for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to 100% say no to anything, but I cannot confirm any third book coming out.
Okay.
He might think of something different that he wants to do.
Yeah,
Different
yeah.
Yeah, who
characters
knows?
or
Maybe.
yeah.
Earlier we did an episode with a woman who designed dolls,
Oh yeah.
puppets,
Yeah.
for her animated movie, and obviously wants to get into merchandising those. So you could do the same with the Muffin Man, and have not puppets, but replicas of some
Dolls.
sort, dolls of some sort.
Yeah, like stuffed animals.
Yeah.
I have a as I just said earlier, I have a mini replica Funko Pop and a stuffed animal that I made.
What is
The
Funko Pop?
Funko Pops are like those big. How do I explain it? It's basically like a big block's head and then like a smaller body with like just 2 eyes.
Okay.
Is that, I
Yeah, and I'm
So it's a
Okay.
character. It's like a character.
yeah,
Another
as a
character.
character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fun.
like, for example, this is what I have a Colonel Sanders Funko Pop. So
Okay.
this is what it would. I also have a Ronald McDonald, by the way. But
Got
this
it.
is what like a regular Funko Pop would look like, and this one's obviously not that good. But here is
Yeah.
my Funko Pop.
Cute.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
see how far out of the loop
That'd be
I
fun.
am. There you go.
And how
Look
did you get that made? Who made that?
I made it with clay, actually.
Really? Let me see.
Yep.
Show us. Muffin Man.
And we open it up.
And you decorated
This
the
is-
box and everything?
Yeah.
Wow, it looks so professional. Let's
There you
see.
go. Hold that up a little bit so we can
How
see.
fun. Good job. You did that with clay, huh?
Yep.
Really
And
good.
this is a compared to a regular Funko Pop. Let me get this one out to see the difference. So yeah, obviously this one has like a base plate. This doesn't. But obviously this is in way better quality because this is obviously much better quality.
It's made in a
because
factory.
It's an actual Funko Pop. But this, I still think for the time and
Yeah.
specific, I was like 9 or something when I made this.
Wow.
It still looks pretty good.
Yeah. Very cute. Yeah. It does.
And here is this stuffed animal.
Oh, there
How
you
did
go.
you make that?
We worked with a company to make this called Budsies, and they made this for us. We sent
Wow.
the drawing of Muffin Man, and then this is what ended up, and it looks really cute.
Yeah. It looks like the Muffin Man in the book.
Well, I'm not sure, Alec, but just so you know, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, even at my readings, over the years, early on, I had a friend who made hot sauce, and so for my first 3 books, I had hot sauces to go with the first 3 books, and now I have coffee mugs for each of my books. So merchandising with your books makes perfect sense. So when should you ever go and do readings of your book, I bet you'd be able to sell
Take
some of
those
them.
and sell them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I also
What else?
managed to make this Christmas ornament right here.
Look
Oh,
at that.
Santa Muffin.
Hey, look at that.
How cute.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or Muffin Santa.
obviously they look different because this one is one of the very few times where Muffin Man doesn't have a cape. The only other time as a muffin, because this is one of the only times Muffin Man didn't have a cape because he wasn't fully superhero yet. And then this one he has his iconic cape back, but he still has the Santa beard and the Santa hat, but now his gloves and boots and cape are all in red.
Yep. Very great. Man, you put a lot of work into all this. You've been really busy with it all. You did a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be very proud of.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, this young man is going to be somebody that we're going to have to reckon with in the future.
Yep.
It's,
Very enterprising and full of ideas. And like we talked on one of our other podcasts, everybody has ideas, but not everybody makes
puts
them
them into
happen.
action. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So good
Well-
job, Alec. Really good.
Alec,
Yeah, thank
I
you so
just
much.
want you to know that I'm very proud of you, and I'm happy and proud to call you my friend, and an equal, to be honest with you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, sir.
Yeah, and me too. I'm really glad to meet you and honored that you joined us today to show us all of your work and share the story and the background with us. And we'll be keeping an eye on you and see what else you do. And I think it's important for you to put your time into your studies right now, though.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the foundation for your future and everything that you do. So I'm glad to hear that you're concentrating on your studies too.
Yeah.
That's good. Your schoolwork. Yeah.
Well, anything that you want to come back and promote that you do in the future, whether it's a book, whether it's merchandising, whatever it might be, we'll be extremely happy to have you back on.
Thank you so much, sir.
You let us know.
No, you call me John. I'm not sir.
All right,
Okay,
John.
I've told you this a few times before. He's extremely
He's
respectful.
very polite. Yeah,
He's
very, very
great. He
well
really,
mannered.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Alec. Thank you very, very much for being here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for
You're
joining
welcome.
us. Yeah.
Anytime. You're welcome.
Okay.
Have a
You let
great
us
day.
Thank you
know
for
if you have,
having me.
No, it was our pleasure. Thank
yeah.
you.
And if you want to come back, if you have anything else you want to talk about, you let us know. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
You're
Have a
Bye.
good
welcome. All views expressed in this video belong to Kelly Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain. Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kelly and John.